हेलो एवरीवन। आज हम यूके इकोनॉमी में वहाँ की नेशनल हेल्थ सर्विस, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, नेशनल इंश्योरेंस, डीरेगुलेशन एंड डेट के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। ऋषि सुनक का कहना है कि अगर वो किसी एक एरिया की स्पेंडिंग को प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे तो वो है नेशनल हेल्थ सर्विस, मीनिंग दैट अदर डिपार्टमेंट्स विल हैव टू फेस लार्ज कट्स। ऑन द अदर हैंड, the NHS England has warned that it needs £7 billion more money. NHS leaders have expressed their view to Mr. Sunak to not ask for further savings from health budgets which have no fat left to trim. NHS leaders are concerned that ambition for a more prosperous country will not be achievable without proper funding and support from NHS and social care. मुख्यतः जो चैलेंजेस एनएचएस फेस कर रहा है वो है राइजिंग ट्रीटमेंट बैकलॉग्स, वेटिंग टाइम स्टैंडर्ड्स में गिरावट आना, स्टाफ वैकेंसीज का इंक्रीज होना, सोशल केयर सिस्टम इज एट द ब्रिंक ऑफ कोलैप्स एंड ग्रोइंग थ्रेट ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल एक्शन। मोर देन 7 मिलियन पीपल, जिसका मतलब ये हुआ कि 1 in 8 of the population are now on waiting list in England for treatments and tests. The NHS resource budget in England is currently at £152 billion. जैसा कि हम चार्ट में देख रहे हैं कि यूरोपियन यूनियन एंड यूके का इन्फ्लेशन रेट सिग्निफिकेंटली हायर साइड पर है। रियल रेट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इन्फ्लेशन रेट एंड इंटरेस्ट रेट। The lesser the difference of the real rate, the more balanced is the economy and monetary policy. The Bank of England has made its biggest interest rate increase in 3 decades as it tries to beat the high inflation, which is mainly fueled by Ukraine war and the disastrous economic policies. The Bank of England increased its key rate by 75 basis points on November the 3rd to 3% after consumer price inflation returned to a 40-year high in September. The Monetary Policy Committee voted 7 versus 2 in favor. The Bank of England blamed higher energy prices and a tight labor market for the decision to increase interest rates. It takes the borrowing cost for UK to their highest level since 2008 and marks the biggest interest rate rise since 1989. It comes after the US Federal Reserve on November 2 increased its interest rates by 75 basis points to around 4%. On the other hand, Jeremy Hunt said the most important thing the British government can do right now is to restore stability, sort out public finances, and get debt falling so that the interest rate rises are kept as low as possible. On the other hand, we have issues like supply chain problems and energy cost, and these are separate issues. So it is expected that interest rate hike will suck out some demand out of the economy, and this will encourage people to save rather than spend or borrow, and eventually push the prices down. We are seeing a new trend, which is that the central banks have tightened monetary policy to control inflation by rising interest rates. In the case of UK, it now faces a worsening credit rating, which is adding to the risk premium and therefore cost that investors place on the public debt. Debt. National insurance is a tax paid by employers and self-employed, and it contributes to the cost of benefits and state pension. Although for other projects also, the government can borrow from the National Insurance Fund. पिछले साल नेशनल इंश्योरेंस ने रेस करा था अराउंड 158 बिलियन पाउंड्स। आप यूके में स्टार्ट पेइंग करते हैं नेशनल इंश्योरेंस जब आप 12,750 पाउंड्स के ऊपर अर्न करना शुरू कर देते हैं, and the national insurance is counted towards your benefit entitlement and state pension in later life. Since 6th of April, workers and employers were paying 1.25% extra that took the rate of national insurance to 13.25%. The national insurance increase was due to be replaced by a new health and social care levy at a rate of 1.25% in April 2023. But the government has now scrapped these plans, putting the national insurance rate back to 12% on 6th November. In UK, both external and government debt are rising. Due to this, the Prime Minister and Exchequer will feel more economic pressure on them to cut back on spending or raise taxes. Either of these measures will be seen as anti-people interventions. ऋषि सुनक said in a debate with Liz Truss कि अब वो समय आ गया है जब कंट्री को अपना डेट पे ऑफ करना स्टार्ट करना चाहिए जो उसने एक्यूमुलेट करा फ्रॉम हेल्पिंग पीपल ड्यूरिंग द पेंडेमिक. ऋषि सुनक, after a meeting with King Charles, in his first address to the nation said, "We will not leave the next generation with a debt to settle that we were too weak to pay ourselves." Rishi said we need to get our borrowing and debt back on sustainable path. Through this we can get a grip on inflation and hence can limit the increase in interest rates. After borrowing and spending hundreds of billions of pounds due to coronavirus pandemic and for the energy bill support, there is a massive fiscal black hole to fill. Margaret Thatcher also favored and said tax cuts tomorrow but deficit reduction today. This is, she said, when she became Prime Minister in 1979. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is pushing ahead with plans to give ministers the power to overrule regulators in matters of significant public interest, despite vocal resistance from the financial watchdogs. The government has always been clear that this is a safety valve that must be balanced with clear accountability, appropriate democratic input, and transparent oversight. For more information in issues like inflation, pound fall, windfall tax, public finances, and more in UK economy, keep watching our channel. And also, do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.